It's YouTube, babies. So how did we do? How many of the games did we get right and how many did we get wrong?
Well, there was what's the word I'm looking for? Plenty of both.
Yeah.
Whatever the fancy way of saying that is. So, uh couple of well, I don't know. You can't really call it an upset in the playoffs, right? But it's like, boy, some of these that I thought would win sure didn't. So,
Yeah.
first up we had Chargers and Texans. I picked the Chargers, you picked the Texans.
Yeah.
The Texans won.
Hell yeah, I know football. JJ what?
And then we I love that you cheer for him. He doesn't even play
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah, it's the Peloton commercials. He's like, yeah, I'm really
TJ.
yeah. He's like, this is how I am so good on this
It's
team.
literally playing right now because I've
Of
got the
course it
Monday
is.
night game
It
that
seems
just
like that
started up.
that's one of the three commercials that they have anymore.
You want to
This
know what the other one is?
It's got to
I
be
can
one
almost
about
recite
betting.
it.
And then
No.
Wingstop.
Well, the Wingstop one, yes, but it's the fucking T-Mobile commercial with
Oh
Pat
yeah.
Mahomes and Snoop Dogg. Holy fucking shit, am I sick of seeing that commercial?
Oh, and then you have the Monopoly one that you were complaining about too.
Yeah, but that's just not near as often as the T-Mobile one. Or not T-Mobile, what did yeah, T-Mobile.
Yeah, you said
Anyway,
T-Mobile.
anyway. All right. Then we had Broncos and Bills. You picked the Broncos, I picked the Bills. The Bills won. Then we had the Commanders versus the Buccaneers. We both had the Buccaneers. Commanders won.
Damn it, Commanders. Dude, I am in so much fucking debt because of that game.
Man, I was a little devastated. Baker played a hell of a game, but they had a late turnover that resulted in um, might have just been a field goal, but then there just wasn't enough time
Yeah.
for the Buccaneers to score again. So that one was pretty heartbreaking. Then we had Steelers versus Ravens. We both had the Ravens. The Ravens annihilated the Steelers. Then we had Packers, Eagles. You had Packers, I had Eagles. Eagles won by,
I saw
again,
that.
quite a bit. And, well, actually, not by quite a bit, but it just felt like the Eagles just put the smack down on them.
Yeah.
And then it's about to start, but Vikings and Rams, we both picked the Vikings, so we'll have to see what happens there.
Yeah.
However, I pull up a picture of the bracket based on who's already won. So I figured we can make predictions for
Hell yeah.
the next week. So we've got Texans and Chiefs.
I'm going Texans.
God, I hope you're right, but I'm going Chiefs.
Yeah, I have a feeling the Chiefs will take it, but JJ Watt, he's gonna help the old Texans with his Peloton energy.
That's right. Then we've got what I think might be the best game of football this year, and that is the Ravens and the Bills.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Ravens take them.
I am too, though they're the two and the three seeds. So, man, like,
Hmm.
yeah, whoever wins, I will not be surprised.
Yeah.
Then we've got Lions Commanders.
Lions all day.
I agree. And then we can't predict this next one yet. It's whoever wins tonight will play the Eagles.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Vikings will beat them.
Well, here's my question. If the Rams win, do you still think the Rams take the Eagles?
No, then I'll have to just come back and look at it some more
Okay.
because I've got all my money. My whole house is riding on the Vikings.
Well, for the sake of putting something down, I'll say whoever wins tonight beats the Eagles,
Okay.
though I really don't know that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Eagles are very good. So, all right.
Oh, so I kind of forgot to tell you about this, but I saw this comic strip on Facebook. So funny. I've seen it on Instagram before. I actually follow the dude. I just forget his name. But this guy's like, this guy goes in, he's like, hurry, Jesus is back. We gotta delete all the porn. And so he's like, he goes to delete the porn, and then the delete key's gone. He's like, where's my delete key? And then Jesus like is in the doorway. He's like looking for this. And then he's just then it, like the next panel is him just spanking the bad boys.
Oh my gosh. That's so funny, dude. All right. Oh, we need an opener. Um, well, there's my little cat. He lost his first baby tooth today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I was a little freaked out because I found some blood and I'm like, oh my God, what happened? And then I saw his little tooth. I'm like, oh,
Your
okay.
your vet was like, yeah, your cat's losing his teeth because they're baby teeth. You're like, oh,
Dude, that's exactly what would happen. Like, you better sit down for this.
yeah.
Um, fuck, I don't know, man. What's our opener?
You could do Frodo to Sam because you're kitty cat.
Okay.
Dude, I saw a thing and it's like it's one of those dumb things where people are pretending to be freaked out more than they should be, but like apparently very left people were like 1984 and Lord of the Rings are radicalizing your kids. It's like I mean like 1984 both left and right, like hard leaning people can make that argument one way or the other because it's like depending on how you want to look at it. Both
Right.
sides are like, this is like our stuff right now. Both sides say that, but Lord of the Rings, really?
Yeah. It's like, are the Uruk-hai on the march? Like, what are we
Yeah,
talking about?
yeah,
And you know what? Lord of the Rings is radicalizing the children.
yeah.
I give me more. I want more Lord of the Rings. Um, okay, guess we can do this now. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Two Worlds podcast. I'm Jake, and with me, as always, is the Sam to my Frodo. It's Casey. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. What's up with you? Yes, I just had to be the fat hobbit.
Okay, all hobbits are kind of fat,
Yeah,
but
fair enough.
also you carry this pod on your back, just like Sam.
Oh, okay.
So, um, okay, shall we do some trivia?
Yeah, let's do some trivia.
All right. Unfortunately, the page that we're on is mostly in humans, so I
Oh shit.
apologize.
Yeah. There's gonna be a lot of wrong answers.
Nah, I don't think so. I think a
Okay.
lot of these are pretty self-explanatory.
Like, what's their dog's name? Karnak or Lockjaw?
Okay. Which of the following enemies of the Fantastic Four is not based in the underground realm of Subterranea? Atuma, Kala, Tyrannus, and Mole Man.
Tyrannus.
Incorrect.
Okay.
It's Atuma. He's
Oh.
an Atlantean bad guy.
I could have sworn it wasn't Atuma.
Atuma. And I looked it up. Apparently, Kala and Tyrannus are married, so
Oh.
they're holding down Subterranea. Actually,
Okay. That's really nice. I'm glad that those kids made it.
yeah, same. We were rooting for him. Okay, next question. Which of the Inhumans can breathe underwater? Do you need the choices?
Yes.
Okay. Gorgon, Triton, Medusa, Karnak.
Triton.
Yep.
Yep.
Waterman.
Yeah, right.
Don't know what my cat's
It's like it's a trick question. They all can.
doing. It's like, well, okay,
Yeah.
maybe. I wouldn't know. Okay, I'm hoping you don't have to know all the choices. What is the Inhuman Medusa's superpower?
Long ass hair.
Yeah, but what does she do with it?
She can like grab stuff with it.
Good enough. She telekinetically manipulates her long hair.
Nice. Now she's this. Okay, this is. I mean, you probably don't know because you know about as much as me about the Inhumans. But because does she have like a small amount of telekinesis? Because like I know she can communicate with Black Bolt, and like they talk that way. But
I don't know if that's just the power
marriage
of
thing,
love or
yeah.
if she can do that with anybody. Because this says telekinetically manipulate her hair, so I don't know, maybe she can
Yeah.
manipulate other stuff too.
She's got like a piece of her hair in his brain, and that's how she talks to him.
Hey, maybe. Maybe.
Man, just think about going in the shower after her.
That would be awful.
You're just like,
That
honey, from
drain
now
is
on.
ruined.
Well, maybe since she can tell, she's like, don't worry, I got it. And then like that disgusting smell hair just comes out of there. It's like a little gross monster thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Black Bolt's
Ugh.
like, holy shit, this is terrible. I should have married someone else. And then she's like, remember, you did, hun. You've got like four wives. And he's like, oh yeah, forgot about that.
All right. Next question. Which of the Inhumans can create earth tremors by stamping his feet?
I think I know this one,
Let's
but
hear it.
mostly because you've said his name already. So
Hmm.
it's Gorgon, right?
It is
Yeah.
Gorgon, yes.
That was one of those guys, like as a kid Casey thought he looked so cool. And then like
It does look pretty cool.
anytime he would do anything though, I'm like, this guy's not near as cool as I thought.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
what a letdown of a character.
dude, I mean, the only time I've thought, wow, that Inhuman is cool is Black Bolt, and that's it.
I
So,
mean, reading Karnak, I'm like, yeah, this dude's pretty cool. But it was like you had to read that book for you to think that.
hmm.
Otherwise, if you just see that thing, you're like, ugh,
No
I don't like
thanks.
it. I don't like it.
All right, final one. Which of the following is not one of the Mad Thinker's specialties? Androids, calculating the future, computers, martial arts.
I'm gonna go martial arts. I
Correct. That is correct.
was like a little worried when you're like robots or computers. I'm like, those are kind of the same thing.
Also, this is a very famous piece of art of the thing, but I'm gonna show it just because it's cool.
Yeah, the thing's awesome.
All right, nicely done, man. Think you got 4 out of the 5.
Nice.
Okay, we have what some might call an absolutely abysmal news week.
Nick also left a comment because I saw that because I was
Oh,
on the YouTube and he had a
yes.
question at the end because like it's a
Yep.
it's a longer one that he probably doesn't want us to read the whole thing, but the question at the end we can talk about. I think that's going to be a good conversation, even though me and
Yep.
him kind of talked about it already.
That's all right. Okay. Do you want me to read the comment or just the
I mean, we
question?
can just we can just bring up the question at the end and then
Okay. Um, okay. Most of the I'm paraphrasing and cutting some things off, but he says most of the things Mr. Gunn has worked on aren't as high profile and set in stone as Superman. So what are your theories on how faithful he'll stick to the lore and what could he change that would ruin the movie? Like what would be his allowance for change before it starts to ruin the movie? Anyway, keep up the good work and I do hope we get a Lobo movie. I do too. Um,
hmm
but would you like to start?
yeah, I mean the biggest thing with James Gunn, and this is like just a just a kind of a fact when you really think about it. When you look at his comic book movies, he just kind of like the reason why I really think he's putting, that group of not really Justice League leaguers, but that group of characters in that movie in this movie is because he doesn't have to write them in any sort of way other than how he wants to. And that's how he writes people. Like if you look at Drax, if you look at Gamora, you look at Star-Lord, he just does what he wants. And so it's like he needs to do better with Superman because Superman's, like his personality is really important. Like you can't like Nick was telling me like, off comment, like you can't just like go to diehards. Like you can't, write just for them, but at the same time it's like there's a reason why Superman's been around for so long. It's not because of anything James Gunn's done. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's one thing ch completely changing Drax the Destroyer and making him unrecognizable to the comic books, but if you do that type of stuff with Superman, it's like you're just gonna hurt, you're gonna hurt this new universe you're trying to make. And I really think he's gonna do a lot of stuff his own way with his characterizations because he always does.
I don't know that he's gonna do that with Superman though. I really don't think that he will. Not to that extreme.
It
Um,
won't be that extreme. You wouldn't think DC would let that happen, but
yeah. Um, Also, I know the teaser trailer we got doesn't really mean anything,
mhm.
but it really doesn't seem like it's that lighthearted from what we saw. And I realize that's only a few seconds.
I'm I think it's safe to assume though I mean it's gonna be closer to Guardians of the Galaxy than his Scooby-Doo movies for sure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like where it's like, oh yeah, there's these a lot of these humorous moments, but Lex Luthor's murdering a kid, like that type of thing or
hmm
whatever. So I think it's gonna be more of the tone of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Also, I do believe James Gunn when he says he's a comic book fan.
Hmm.
I know that
Yeah.
he changed the Guardians, but the Justice League team that he picked, most of them are from the Justice League International era, which is the era of Justice League he would have been reading when he was younger, assuming he was reading comics as, they came out
Yeah. I
regularly.
mean, he had said that he liked that run. Like that's his favorite run. And I mean, so the reason why he did Guardians is because he liked Dan Abnett's Andy Lanning's Guardians of the Galaxy.
hmm
But he took a lot of creative license with them. I'm
hmm
already convinced he's gonna do the same thing with that, that group and about every
Yeah.
character. Hopefully that's not Superman. Because you can get
Yeah.
away with that with them, but still you can't with Superman.
Yeah. I we've already talked about this. I don't think that they're gonna be in the movie that much. So the little snippets that we get might be pretty heavy-handed on the, James Gunn funny stuff, especially with Guy, right? He doesn't make
Hmm.
Guy look like that and then not have some sort of plan for him to
Yeah.
be just a total douche or
Hmm.
super funny or both.
I've heard too, this is just a fun little rumor, is that he's gonna pop up in the Lanterns show too.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Um, so I guess to answer your question, Nick, his allowance for change before it starts to ruin the movie. I will be annoyed if he changes these minor characters like we just talked about, the Leaguers, or I don't know, Jimmy or something. But if Superman is not like Superman that we've read in the comics, I mean, that's it. That's the only thing for me. The other
Hmm.
guys can be different, but
Yeah, because
if Superman doesn't feel like Superman, then that will just totally ruin it.
yeah, I mean,
There's no, you know, he can't start as this and then become this. Superman was
hmm
always inherently good because of the way he was raised by Ma and Pa Kent. He's always been good. So
Yeah.
he needs to be that beacon of good, or both of us will hate it.
Yeah. And I mean, that was one of the problems I had with Man of Steel too. It's like, because that was the whole Zack Snyder was trying to do the whole hero's journey crap, and it's like, that didn't really work for me at all.
Mm,
But yeah, and then like you're the biggest Hawk Girl fan, but I think of the two of us, and I think we both know though that yeah, he's gonna do whatever he wants with that backstory. Because boy, howdy, can you not do that in a movie?
yeah, yeah. And Hawkman was actually pretty good in the Black Adam movie. Um,
I
but
never made it that far.
yeah, well, that's fine. Um, but it's like I think the Hawk people are going to be just as convoluted as
hmm
their comics prior to Robert Ventiti's run.
And then
And
maybe
now,
now, yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say, and now it seems like everyone's just ignoring, which I really don't get. He fixed everything. Like,
hmm
why would you change it? So I don't know. But like I said, I don't think any of those Justice Leaguers will be in it for more than a couple scenes, so we'll
I
see.
have a feeling it's gonna be one of those things too, though, where it's like they're negative towards Superman. Superman does something big, puts his life on the line, nearly dies, and blah blah blah, and then that kind of inspires them to, it's like first act and like third act, then we'll
Yeah,
be in the second act. It's something like that. Probably, I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, I
Or the
agree.
dragon just murders them all.
Right,
It's like, well, guess we need a good Justice League instead of this Max Lord shit.
right. Man, it'd be so great though if he stuck with the Max Lord shit and then, did all the checkmate stuff, like
hmm
that stuff that he can sprinkle in the back of all these movies and then do something big with it later.
Yeah. I'm really curious too with his universe if he could even do that because he always talks it's like each movie is a person's own thing. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? So it's like I'd be curious if that would even be a thing that he could, tell them to sprinkle in type of stuff.
True. I don't know. He might also change his mind along the way.
Yeah.
But that's a good question, Nick. So I appreciate you asking. It's
Yeah.
always fun conversation. Okay, so now we're on to the news.
Yeah. I'll do mine first and I'll let you talk about the actual comic book stuff.
Okay.
So, speaking of the Superman movie, David Cornsweet's been spotted in UK where they're filming Supergirl, so he's probably gonna have a cameo, or he's just wanting to see Big Ben. I'm assuming it's the cameo though.
Yeah, which would be cool.
Yeah, I just hate that they're basing it off of a Tom King related book and he's getting money for it.
Yeah, I know.
Oh man,
But
we won't touch on this too much, but just speaking of scumbags, and the next winner of the Tom King Award, did you hear more stuff came out about Neil Gaiman today?
yeah,
Yeah, we won't talk about any more other than that, but I was just like, man, that's fucked up.
it is fucked up. And th- this is one of those instances where it's like I don't know that I can separate the art from the artist anymore. You
No,
know?
so yeah, like it's like I hate saying this shit too though, where I'm like, well, it really just sucks for me as someone that enjoys stuff. But like I've been not even rewatching Doctor Who. I just watched one clip on YouTube and now I'm getting all this Doctor Who related stuff. And every once in a while I'll get like the episodes he did. I'll be like, oh, this was a really good episode. It's a shame that he wrote it.
I know. And like, we dabbled in Sandman, and
Yeah.
it's like in the back of my mind, it's always like, oh yeah, I need to go back and finish that. And now it's like, I don't know that I
Do
want
I?
to anymore. Yeah,
Right?
because I don't
Uh,
want to think, oh man, this is so good for somebody that's so
yeah.
shitty. So
Oh, like Speaking of Doctor Who, really quick, did you ever watch the Capaldi stuff? Because I quit when he took over because I just couldn't stand Moffat's writing anymore.
Um, I watched like 2 or 3 episodes and it was so bad that I quit.
Oh, really? So I saw a clip that I'm like, it made me want to go watch it because like he seems like a cool doctor. It's just Moffat's writing. Oof. But
Right.
River Song like was doing this thing, like big thing. She didn't know he was the doctor yet. And they're like, the doctor's here. She's like, no, he wouldn't put himself in danger over me. He doesn't love me, blah, blah, blah. Does this big old speech. And like, the doctor's just kind of watching. And then as soon as she finishes, he's like, hello, sweetie. And, then she's like, that type of thing. I'm
Right.
like, okay, that was pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. I mean, there's moments.
Yeah.
But boy, they do not outshine the bad.
Yeah. No, I'm not surprised because that's how, like, especially there's a lot of stuff where it's like, yeah, Matt Smith's and Karen Gillan's charisma is re and like the guy that played Rory, their charisma is really carrying this run, like this shitty writing.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a reason that when they were done, I, I we really started to lose
hmm
interest. So,
Well, I was like losing interest after the episode where like they got rid of Amy because it was like I'm just like I can't ever go back to New York because the time will break. It's like she could get a car. You could just go like a year in the future outside of New York and then have her. It's like, oh, but I saw the headstone. It's like this is stupid, guys. Come on.
yeah. But I feel like that's just the case with pretty much anything time travel related.
Yeah, but that one was just like you guys are trying way too hard to come up with reasons that don't make sense.
Yep.
Could have just been like, hey, we're pregnant again, and this time we don't want to lose the kid via weird cult that's trying to kill you, so we're just gonna retire.
Hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think anything like there was a lot of good Matt Smith stuff, but
hmm
it didn't top David's stuff. And honestly, after I went back and watched the Chris stuff later, I was like, I don't know that it tops much of this either.
Yeah. The I've been seeing clips because like David's back, and
Yeah.
I've seen a couple of clips and it's like this is pretty cool. The only downside is like so I like Neil Patrick Harris, but he plays a villain and it's like Neil Patrick Harris is one of those actors. He can do lines really well, but he's always Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah.
Like even though he's got a German accent, he's still Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah. I get that. That does make me want to watch it though, because I didn't know that he was a part of it.
Yeah, like I don't know how this new series works, but I'm like I need to kind of check it out because it's Russell's writing it again. David is the doctor, and then Donna's back, which I'm like, how's her brain not melting?
Hmm. Anyway, welcome to our Doctor Who podcast.
Yeah, the
Oh
Pod
man.
Who, Doctor Cast.
Wow, that's a title. All right. My one little teensy bit of news. Um, Rom V is bringing back Resurrection Man for DC. He's going to be doing a 6-issue miniseries in April. Is that something you're interested in?
Round V doing it. I'll check it out for sure. Should
Hmm.
be interesting.
You
It's a
read the new
character I don't really
52
know
one,
much about
right?
though. No,
No? Hmm. I
no.
thought you did because Abnett and Lanning wrote that.
No, I didn't know that they had wrote it at the time when it first came out, but like my comic shop that I was going to at the time, it was like so like their new 52 shit sold out for all the first like three issues. So
Dude, every comic shop did.
yeah. So like trying to get any of the that stuff and then that one didn't last very long. So yeah,
Yeah.
I never got to read that. And then by the time like some of the other ones I was interested in, I could finally get, I was like yeah, I'm not gonna start reading this random series that I was interested in, but and some of them I did try to read. I'm like, this is really bad. Like the oh, what was it? The Blackbirds or what was it?
Yep, those
Yeah,
Blackbirds.
yeah, that one was pretty rough.
So here's a fun question. If you could bring back one New 52 series, which one would it be? Like same
Animal Man,
creative team, everything.
probably Animal Man,
Okay.
or Scott Snyder's Swamp Thing was really good too.
Yeah. I only read volume one of that, but I liked it. But
Yeah, the
that was a time where I didn't know shit about Swamp Thing, and I was like, this is cool, but I don't know what's going on.
yeah. In all honesty, I still don't really know shit about Swamp Thing. I know what I read in that, and that's about it.
Right. You've not done
But
any of the Alan Moore stuff?
no, I've wanted to. I just haven't because it's like, I mean, I'm still backlogged as it
Yeah.
is.
Well, that's a future present idea then, if that's something that you're interested in, because everybody says that's like the stuff to read, you
It
know?
yeah, it's like it's one of those things where it's like I think before him it was really just a horror comic and then he did Alan Moore shit to it and made it like a crazy book.
The thing, like when we redid, like revisited The Killing Joke last
Hmm.
year, I was like, man, this really is so fucking good that I wasn't crazy on Watchmen and I wasn't crazy on V, but it's like Killing Joke is so good, maybe I should read Swamp Thing.
Yeah. Did you ever read so I have it in like a full collection, but it's like Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow? And
Yeah.
then okay, and then did you read the other one that they stole like basically shot for shot for the Justice League thing, the What to Get the Man Who Has Everything
Mm-hmm.
story?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Those are both really good too. I always think it's like when he has like a DC editor kind of reining him in, it probably makes his stuff better.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. I I was I obviously watched that episode,
Hmm.
What to Get the Man Who Has Everything before reading that. But afterwards, I was like, man, I'm glad that this was almost shot for shot because it's so
Yeah,
fucking good.
right.
So, and then did you ever read? Because I hope I'm not confusing this and making myself sound like a fool. He did League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, right?
He
Did you
did,
read
yeah.
that and enjoy it?
I didn't enjoy it, but I read it way too young too, because it came out when like Barnes or Walden Books had it when the movie came out. And
Hmm.
so I got it before the movie came out, like the day we saw it. So we went to the mall in Mattoon and then we went to the Theta. And then I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna be so good. And then like the Invisible Man is raping girls and like schoolgirls and like I'm like, what is this? Alan Quartermain's like addicted to drugs and I think Hyde ends up raping Invisible Man. I'm like, this is not the same.
And the movie's not very good either. So,
That's James Robinson original.
is it really?
Yes.
He
He
wrote the
got a
script?
Yeah, he talked about that on the Comic Vine podcast a couple of times. Like basically he wrote the original script and he was like, yeah, it was a much more toned down version than the comic, but and then they're like, "Oh, we need an American lead." So then he added in Tom Sawyer. And then he had the director was like, "Oh, I want it this way," and then Sean Connery was like, "No, I want it this way," and so then he had to like write like he was writing like three different scripts to try to make it so that he could appease everybody, and it was just a whole fucking mess. And he's like, "Yeah, this is one of the things I regret. Like this and Cry for Justice are two of the things I really regret."
Gosh, fair enough. But we've said it before, Craft for Justice wasn't his fault.
I mean, I still think part of it, like he still wrote the words. I will
Yeah,
give him some blame.
yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
Let's go like 40-60. James's
Right.
fault.
Uh, and not to be like, since you asked me, but the new 52 thing, Demon Knights. Boy, I would love
Oh
a
yeah.
Demon Knights return.
Yeah, dude, like you weren't as big in the fantasy comics at that time.
Hmm.
But like if that happened now, you would have been eating good because then Amethyst was a thing too.
Hmm.
And you had Demon Knights. It's like, man, you would have been like just be like, oh, this is the best.
I know. Those those Amethyst books were part of that. What was it called? It was called like Threshold or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, and I was reading that and thinking, I don't know what the fuck's going on here. But then obviously the Amethyst stuff was cool. But anyway, New 52, that's a time period that could definitely be studied.
Yeah. No, we need to like next week. I'll just have say now the next week's Fantastic Four will be about New 52 related. So we'll have a whole fun convo about
Perfect.
that.
Like a four best and four worst. Well, that'd
I
be
mean,
tough
I was
because
gonna
I
say,
haven't read everything, but
yeah, there was some like really good shit though, and there's also some real dumb stuff that happened too.
yeah. I feel like I really do think that the good outshone the bad, though.
At
Like,
first, and then they kept getting dumber and dumber. I
all
was
right.
it was funny speak since like we don't have like we're done with news already, so I'll tell you
Yeah.
this. Nick had asked me a question yesterday about the Flash characters, and he was like, you know, because like they did so much different crap, you know, with them. So he was like, yeah, what like he's like Impulse is back, right? I'm like, yeah, he's Impulse again. I don't really know how much of the pre-New 52 stuff actually happened. He's like, so wait, it's not the one from New 52? I'm like, no, don't know where that guy is. But but this is Bart. I don't know if he's ever been Flash. I don't know if he's ever been Kid Flash, but it's Bart. He's a little bit more mature than he was when he was Impulse. And then I was like telling I was explaining the stuff with Wallace and Wally. I was like, well, so New 52 happened, and then everyone's like, no, we want Wally back. And then they're like, okay, we'll give you a new Wally. He's black. And everyone's like, no, we want our Wally back. And so and then they're like, fine, Rebirth. You got Wally. It's like, well, what about Wallace? We like him now because you've given him us for 5 years. And it's like, well, he's still here.
Dude. And then, Rebirth happened, like, fine, here's Wally. And then they fucking kill him off like three
Yes.
times.
Yeah, because like what's the thing too? Like Joshua Williamson made a joke about that because he's like, I finally brought Wally back, and then Tom King just killed him.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree. Um, okay. I will briefly talk about the books that I read
Yeah.
since the
I'll
mail services failed us.
yeah. So I'll go through last week's stuff because that came in. You know how I was like, it's supposed to come in Monday. It came in Thursday. So I got
Okay.
these read. So I'll just talk about it really quick. X Factor was good. You didn't read X Factor, did you? I don't remember you talking about it.
I didn't. I have
Okay.
a short stack of backlog still.
I gotcha. It's good. It's, you know, art's good in it. The story itself is fun. The one dude's still on his corn dog diet, which is always a thing that makes me chuckle. But yeah, you should be reading it. Two-Face, it's good. I think I know exactly what's going to happen in it, but we'll see. I'm still enjoying the ride, but I'm like, I think I know who this big bad is supposed to be because this is a Two-Face book. JSA, I liked it, but it was a very chatty book. It's like
Yeah.
we don't need all of this exposition, guys. Come on. Batgirl, same thing. It's just like trust, love, hate, mother, trust, kind, mean, evil. You know, like it's just that shit all over again. I'm like, I don't really care. Shazam, it was good. You know, that's basically the most you can say. Like they're doing stuff with the characters is pretty neat. We're gonna get the whole Shazam family going again. It sounds like Batman. That reveal, didn't see it coming. It's pretty neat though. I'm excited to see where that goes. Um, End of the day, even though Gordon can be like, I was brainwashed to murder the mayor, you still murdered the mayor.
Yeah, they really played it off like, oh, you
Yeah,
didn't do it, Jim. It's like,
yeah.
I
It's like, but
did.
you did.
And also,
Like,
it's crazy that the mayor's wife is like, nah, man, fuck you. I'm
yeah.
out.
I mean, fair enough too on her. Like, I get it. It's like if this old guy murdered my husband, it's like, don't worry, the Riddler made me do it. I'd still be like, no. That's not okay. Don't be happy that my husband's dead, you weirdo. And then Daredevil, worst cover of the week for sure. Like that's
Oh my
pretty
gosh.
rough. But yeah, it was good. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know enough about the legal system to see like really for any of this to make sense, but whatever. And then Saga, really liked Saga. Just love Saga in general. The end's interesting. I'm really excited to see where that goes
Yeah,
and
I
everything.
really liked the diehard loyal defensive Carney. It was just like,
Yeah,
run out my fucking people.
right.
Just
I was like,
crazy.
because like at first I was like, there's no way that that guy like because I was thinking that too. I was like, he has to stand up for his people because it's fucking weird ass Carney law, you know? And then when
Yeah.
he's like seems like seemingly going along with it, I'm like, that's not okay. Then he fucking just stabs like, okay, that's better.
All right. Was that your week?
Yeah.
All right. So this week I read EC's Cruel Kingdom #1, Snot Girl 17, Aquaman #1, Magic #1, Uncanny X-Men #8, Jim Henson Presents #1, Batman and Robin 17, Batman Dark Patterns 2, DC versus Vampires World War V #6, and Wolverine #5.
Now you're gonna tell me, but what's dark patterns again? I forget. Oh, that's the
The Dan
Dan
Waters.
Waters.
Yep.
Okay. I think I forgot to have you get me that one.
Well, you'll have to remind me.
Yeah. Because that's one of those books where I knew I would forget because it's like another Batman book that's, got the weird subtitle that I'm like, I won't. I was, my brain just kind of glosses over.
Oh, dude, you quite literally never ask for X-Men, and I'm always just like pulling it
Yeah.
anyways because I'm like,
Yep.
yeah, I know he
Every
wants
once in a
this.
while, every once in a while I'll do X-Men, but Uncanny all the time. Never once in my life have I asked for Uncanny, but I want it.
Yep. I do my best.
I know you do.
All right, so Cruel Kingdom #1. This is EC's dark fantasy book. Pretty cool
Oh, nice.
cover.
I saw that cover. I was like, that looks pretty sweet, but I had no
Yeah.
clue what it was.
So it is an anthology. Um, we've got stories by Greg Pak, Al Ewing, Chris Condon, and Ben H. Winters, and all of them are pretty cool. They're all just like, the setting is dark fantasy, and it's just like bad shit happens in every single one of these stories. All of them have bitter endings, and I eat that shit up. I love me a bitter
Yeah.
ending. So, um, I think the best one was maybe the Chris Condon story. He did It's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, but there's only one dwarf left. It's the eighth dwarf, and he's like I forget, he's like hatred or anger,
Oh, okay.
something like
I thought it was gonna be
that.
like Survivor's Guilt Dwarf.
Rage, that's what it was, rage. And like all the other dwarfs are dead, and he's the last one who's, protecting Snow White. And then the prince comes and kisses her and wakes her up, and he starts to go crazy. He's like, I've protected her, for so long. No one's gonna
Hmm.
take her from me. And he kills the prince with his pickaxe. And then the princess gets scared and runs away, and he realizes that he fucked up big time. So he just like digs his own grave and then kills himself. Like,
Jeez.
yeah, it's crazy, man. There is some dark shit in this book, but it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Definitely gonna pick up the next one. Give it an 8 out of 10.
Do you have any clue who's gonna be on the next one, writer wise?
I don't. I don't know if
Okay.
it's the same guys or if they're just gonna mix it up because I was under the impression that like Al Ewing was going to be a regular, but
Okay.
maybe they were just putting his name on the first one to hype it up. Who knows?
Yeah.
Okay. Snot Girl 17 by
Surprised
Brian.
that surprised that's out. I figured it'd be
I know.
December.
I know, right? It's by Brian Lee O'Malley and Leslie Hung. It's really good. I love this book so much. Art's awesome. It's hilarious. A new crazy like plot point is mounting that I wasn't expecting. So, like we've joked about, I hope that it comes out regularly enough that I get to see where that goes. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna give it probably like a 9.5. It honestly might be my pick of the week. It's real good.
Nice, man.
Okay. Aquaman number one by Jeremy Adams and John Timms. It was good. Art is crazy good. Aquaman has, I'm guessing because of absolute power, has a new power.
Mm,
Um, it's not like a huge spoiler for the story, so I'll just say it. It's he can kind of control water now. So Mara's like that's her thing. So she's like helping
hmm.
him learn to control that, which is interesting. Uh, and then some real crazy shit happens at the end that I'm not going to spoil. Um, that brings in a group of characters that I was not prepared to be in this book, and I think Jeremy Adams is going to take Aquaman off the fucking rails, and I'm honestly pretty excited for it.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, it'll be cool.
Man, what is it with like this is just a weird little thing to think about. So Jeremy Adams, he did Flash and did awesome on Flash. And then right after Flash, or during Flash even, he went to Green Lantern and then now he's doing Aquaman. Jeff Johns did Flash,
Hmm.
Green Lantern, and then Aquaman.
Yeah, so Jeremy Adams is gonna take over DC and then take
Fucking
3 years to
become
put out
terrible.
12 issues.
He's gonna be like, I'm doing six Jokers now.
No, we have to believe he's a much better writer than that.
Yeah.
Okay. Magic number one by Ashley Allen and German Peralta. I like this a lot better than the Blood Hunt book.
Good.
Um, Magic is still a little, I don't know, I don't even want to say angsty. Uh, there's just some like shit going down that I'm interested to see how it will play out, and that determines whether or not I like it. Um, but I think the idea is cool. There's like a really big bad demon that's being kept sealed away by five seals. Uh, not the animal seals or the singer seal,
Dude,
but
how fucking cool would that be? If there was like four animals, one singer, and
right. And then the singer was like the big bad. But
yeah.
anyway, then this guy called like Crow Demon or Demon Crow is trying to go around and break all the seals because he's working for the big bad and trying to release him or her, it. And so now Magic has to stop it. So meanwhile, uh, she's got was it Dark Child or whatever is like her evil demon shit that's like in the back of her mind and always has been. That's starting to like peek through a little bit and make
Mm,
her uh, really angry and trying to break out. So I don't know. There's lots of good stuff here for this issue. So
yeah.
I was very skeptical, but it turned out to be pretty cool. So
Good.
give it an 8 out of 10.
Art solid because I know a magic book.
Yeah,
You need your mommy magic looking good.
I do. It is pretty good. I'll try to find one of my favorite panels.
I saw a Twitter post while you're looking for the panel where they were talking about how magic, I mean, early on was like a sexual assault victim, and like they did all that, allegories and stuff that was written in and stuff. I'm like, man, there's some of this stuff where it's like it seems like a stretch, but other parts where I'm like, yeah, that checks out.
Well, who wrote Magic early on? It was Chris Claremont. So
Yeah.
it's like You know how some of that shit is.
Yeah.
But here's like her fight with
Oh,
Demon
nice.
Crow. So like it's pretty good art.
Yep. Man, did you ever have you seen the New Mutants movie yet?
No, I
It's
haven't.
real fucking bad, but it's like it's one of those things where it's like, how could you make a movie this bad, but then you cast out like one of the characters perfectly? The other characters, it's like, yeah, not so much, but her, like, it's exactly like it's so like comic book accurate and awesome. It's like, boy, it's a
Mm.
shame that you wasted S tier casting on this.
It's Anya Taylor-Joy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty much perfect. I definitely will watch it one of these days, even though I know it's a total flaming turd. But yeah, it's a shame that that didn't go anywhere. And also, I picked up so many variants for this issue, dude.
I bet.
I'll post them all whenever I do the announcement of this week's episode because I take photos of all my favorite covers and all of them are just fucking lights out. So
Did Peach do one for this book? Because it
yeah, she did
seems
the
like a
1 in
okay.
10.
Okay, I was gonna say it seems like a for sure Peach cover that she could do. Like
The
would just
thing
absolutely
is,
kill too.
the thing is that her cover doesn't have magic.
Oh,
It's a 1 in 10 like character design variant for a Demon Crow.
oh, okay,
But I'm sure that she will do more in the future
yeah.
because Marvel's going to do 5 covers per issue, and I'm a sucker and going to get them all. There, the thing is, man, is there were like 6 or 8 like artist or store exclusive covers for this
Hmm.
book, and there's like 4 of them that I really want. But it's like, man, I don't want to drop $30 per
Yeah,
variant. So I'm gonna wait a while and then hope that those stores like put them on sale because I've lucked out and gotten some pretty awesome exclusive covers for like half off.
yeah. Did I ever tell you that story where they had it was for Chew, but not like the main Chew, the secondary Chew that I don't think we're ever gonna get any more issues of. There was when the first issue came out. They had Rob, this one comic shop in the UK did a special Rob Guillory cover, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get this, and I did, and then I get a call from my credit card where they're or my debit card where they're like, yeah, someone tried to buy something in the UK. We've frozen your accounts. Don't worry. I'm like, unfreeze, please. God.
Did you end up getting it?
No.
Damn,
Yeah.
that's agitating.
Yeah, I'm just like I'm not gonna keep messing with this. It's just a sign it's not meant to be.
Right. Yeah, I there's also plenty of times where a cool exclusive variant sells out and then goes for a lot more later.
Hmm.
So I'm hoping that that's not the case with the ones that I
Yeah.
want. Okay, next is Uncanny X-Men number 8. It's written by Gail Simone with art by Javier Garron, and it's cool. It's part 4 of the Raid on Grey Malkin crossover, so I won't give any spoilers, but the end of it was a little disappointing. Uh, they're fighting to get people back, and I don't really love how it was resolved, so I'm curious how you feel about it, Casey, after you read it. But
I don't even know
overall,
if I got that one because, like I said, I usually accidentally skip over Uncanny X-Men, so I'm not sure if I got that one or not.
well, I think I hold it for you,
Oh,
but
okay.
obviously let me know if it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I still liked, the art and the character interaction and stuff like that were still very good. So it still gets an 8, but I was hoping that it was going to be a 10.
Yeah.
Okay, Jim Henson presents. This is also an anthology. There are 3 short stories, one featuring Fraggle Rock, one featuring The Dark Crystal, and one featuring something I had no idea was Jim Henson. Farscape. Did you know that?
No, I kind of I never watched a lot of Farscape, but I have a feeling like I think maybe I saw the production, like where it had. that
Hmm.
like at the beginning, the little bit that I watched, but I probably never put two and two together. But now that you said
Yeah.
something, I'm like, maybe.
So, uh, a mutual friend of ours, Scott, is the biggest Farscape fan that I know. Like he really liked Farscape. He realizes, it was kind of corny, but I watched a handful of episodes with him when we hung out. But it just feels really out of place in this book next to
Hmm.
Fraggle Rock
Yeah,
and
I
Dark
get
Crystal.
that.
So it's like instead of Farscape, it should have been Labyrinth.
Yeah,
Um, but anyway, I thought this was a one shot. I guess it's going to be a mini series because, they showed who's going to or what stories will be in the next one. And it looks like these three, but then also Labyrinth one. So,
nice.
but anyway, we've got stories by Shannon Waters, Jill 2, and Shannon McGuire. The Fraggle Rock one, it's like a cute holiday story. Obviously Fraggle Rock is geared towards younger readers. Um, but I like Fraggle Rock, so it was still good for me. The Farscape one was kind of whatever because I just don't know these
Hmm.
characters at all. And then the art in the Dark Crystal one is pretty awesome. And the story was like kind of fucked up and dark, but interesting enough that it's like, okay, if it's in the next one, I'll still check it out. So it was fine. Probably give it maybe like a 5.5 or a 6, just because a third of it was Farscape, and I
Hmm.
just did not, it did not click with me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, none of those I have really seen much of because I never watched Fraggle Rock growing up. And then I don't think I've ever seen Dark Crystal. And like I said, probably seen, random episodes of Farscape when it was on, like on at Dairy Queen when we would be eating Sundays. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this show.
So Fraggle Rock is very funny. It's like
Yeah,
if you can appreciate Muppets humor, you can appreciate Fraggle Rock humor.
I gotcha.
Um, Obviously it's slightly more kiddie than even the Muppets, but still.
Yeah.
Uh, The Dark Crystal, I remember watching it as a kid. My mom and I rewatched it together a couple of years ago, and I'll be honest, dude, I thought it was bad. Just a
Really.
bad movie. People that love it, it's just nostalgia.
Yeah.
Um, I hear that that Netflix show they made a couple years back is like genuinely really good. So one of these days I'll get around to watching that, but you know, you're not missing out by not watching The
Yeah.
Dark Crystal.
Oh, dude, this Muppet clip from like the new Muppet stuff that kind of came out a couple years back, keeps popping up my Instagram, and it's Pepe, like Lady Gaga was on the Muppets, and she's like laying, and she's kind of got like her legs showing a little bit, and Pepe's there, and he's like, hitting on her like he does. He's like massaging her legs and stuff. But something happened, and I don't know what. But like the Lady Gaga's reaction, and then the Pepe's reaction are both like Lady Gaga like Pepe, and then Pepe's like, I didn't mean to. Whatever I did, I didn't mean to do it.
That's so funny.
So it's like
Like,
his hand must have slipped or something, but
right. Like maybe like once a month, my mom will send me a clip and it's just a Swedish Chef clip. I cackle with laughter every
yeah,
time. It's hilarious. It's
yeah.
always hilarious. I don't know. I think Muppets truly are timeless.
Hmm.
Truly
Dude,
timeless.
there was a show that was on when I was a kid on the Animal Channel, and it was that same studio, but it was like it was like a talk show, and they would interview animals, and it was a polar bear and a skunk. Does that
Okay.
ring any bells for you?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, because dude, I'm like that was such a big big thing in my when I was a child.
Hmm. Yeah,
Don't remember the name of it though.
I don't either, but I think I definitely at least remember the bear parts, but I don't know. I could just be thinking of any other Muppetized bear. All right, so next I've got Batman and Robin 17. It is by Philip Kennedy Johnson with art by Yavi Fernandez, and it was really good. Um, Damien talks to that doctor, about how he feels about his dad, and I think there's some really good stuff there. And this is just like a really Damien heavy issue. He has to talk to Gordon and some others, and I think it's great. I
Hmm.
think Philip Kennedy Johnson is a great writer. And, at first I was like, oh, I wish we could just skip, where they have to rebuild that relationship, but damn it
Hmm.
if it isn't just really good.
Yeah.
And then we got a surprise character on the last page that I was not expecting, and I'm really excited to read that. So,
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna give it a 9, I think. Maybe even a 9.5. It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, my only problem with that book, it's the same thing you've said. It's like and and like when I read the second issue or the third issue, I was like, oh, it is like in the current timeline, so it doesn't really make any sense with stuff, but it's like, yeah, it's weird that Damien's back to Grant Morrison Damien and not, what he's been doing all these years later.
Yep. It bugs me because we hold these writers in such high regard that it's like you
Hmm.
would expect them to respect continuity,
Yeah.
but it's hard to be it would be easier to be angry about it if the book sucked, but it
Yeah.
doesn't. It's still fucking good. So,
Hmm.
all right, then Batman Dark Patterns number 2. It's by Dan Waters with Hayden Sherman on the art. Art is very good. It's super fitting for this book. Um, the Wounded Man, or whatever his name is just so unsettling. So unsettling with all these nails in him. It really just gives me the heebie-jeebies in some of these panels where Sherman's art is a little more detailed on everything that's going on with him. But I really like what's going on here. There's good detective work. Batman's talking to people that we don't normally see and having to like go places we don't normally see him go anymore. So it's just kind of refreshing and
Hmm.
I like it. And the art lends to this type of story very well. So we'll see. The only thing that really bugs me, and it doesn't really bug me, it just he keeps talking about, oh, I can't strike the wounded man because of all these nails. They'll puncture something vital and he'll bleed out. But it's like, okay, but we've seen him falling over onto the
Hmm.
ground and all this stuff that's like essentially the same as taking a hit. So
Yeah.
why is that okay and then punching him isn't? It's just kind of
He
silly.
he needs to get his bat pliers out and just start taking the nails out and like punching them after each time he does it.
I know, right? So I realize that that is not like a big thing, but it is just kind of silly.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest, when I read the first issue, I liked it, but The Wounded Man, I was like, this doesn't have a lot of traction for me as a character.
Well, I like Dan Waters' original villains.
Hmm.
I don't think anything's gonna top the Ten-Eyed Man. That was so good. You know how much
Hmm.
I like that character. So I'm kind of holding out hope that that I'll start to feel that way about this guy, even though they're not the same personality.
Hmm.
But I get where you're coming from. All right. DC versus Vampires World War V, number 6 by Matthew Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt. This book is awesome. I'm still loving it. I think this is better than the first series, and I don't know if that's because the first series is already established and now we're just like really getting into it or what, but I just think it's real cool. And like Darkseid shows up in this issue, which is cool, and a bunch of oh my gosh, why can't I think of what his minions are called?
Parademons?
Yes, parademons, thank you. A bunch of
You're welcome.
parademons show up. So I'm kind of like, okay, is this gonna be a humans and vampires team up to fight the hordes of apocalypse and then find a way to peacefully live on Earth together? I don't know, maybe,
Hmm.
but it's still cool. He basically shows up for his grandchild, which is Scott and Barta's baby. And Aquaman, who's a vampire, is kind of like, we don't got your fucking grandbaby, so why don't you fuck off? And he just picks him up and just kills him. And it was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Um, and then at the end, we think Constantine dies in the last issue, but he wakes up in like limbo, and Fate, Phantom Stranger, and the Spectre are all there. They're like,
Okay.
"Sorry, John, your time's not up yet." And I'm like, I love it when this shit happens because those
Yeah.
those guys are just OP, but it's so cool when they show up.
Hmm.
And then there's a backup by Rosenberg, or no, not by Rosenberg. It's by Joey Esposito and Pascal Colano. It's an Animal Man story. So it's
Ooh.
Animal Man. He goes out and he captures this deer, and he's like apologizing to it before he kills it. And then it cuts to this cabin. This dude finds a cabin, and you see like a trap door and someone bangs on it. Just like, please help us. Like, we're starving. It's me and my two kids are trapped down here. My husband, he's not well. So the guy, you see him open it up, and then Animal Man gets back to a cabin, and he goes inside and there's a bunch of blood on the floor. And then, wouldn't you know it, the people trapped downstairs were his wife and kids, and they're vampires. And
Oh Lord.
he was out there getting the deer for them. And the wife's like, I told you the animal blood isn't doing it anymore. You're starving us. And he's like, please just go back down there. I'll find a cure for you all, I promise. And since they're strong from eating the stranger, they wrestle him down into that basement and lock him there, and it says to be continued. It was fucking cool, dude.
Yeah.
It was really fucking cool. I like seeing what all these lesser known characters are doing while all this main shit's happening. It's
Hmm.
very, very good. I just wasn't expecting it to be his family until it happened, and then I was like, oh yeah, obviously it's his family.
Yeah. At least his family's still alive. Because I mean, Jeff
Kind
Lemire
of,
did. I mean, better than what Jeff Lemire left his son. That's for sure.
which was what.
Fucking killed him. Like that was the thing. Like Grant, it was funny because like I remember this was a tweet, and so it kind of pissed me off too. Because like if you've ever read the hit Grant's run on Animal Man, a lot of stuff happened. So then whenever Jeff Lemire met Grant, he was like, "Oh, I'm writing Animal Man now." And Grant looked at him and they go, "Leave his fucking family alone." And so then he's like, "Oh, I will." And then it's like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking kill his son."
I I wonder if they met again after that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, dude, I just can't stress enough. Grant Morrison's Animal Man is such a good book. Such a weird one. Like it starts
Yeah,
off, you're like, if you're reading it, you're like, Casey, what are you talking about? This is just, it's like kind of like pro, it does a lot of like vegan type talking with animal man. You're like, this is like neat. It's like, it's well written, but what are you talking about? Then it's like the second and third book when it gets into the comic book limbo and all this extra shit. You're like, oh, this is what Casey's talking about. It's batshit. Okay.
because he writes himself into it, right? That's
Yeah.
the series he does. Okay.
Yep. Because it starts like a lot of stuff. I don't want to get it too into it, but basically, Animal Man gets very depressed and just starts walking, and then he ends up in comic book limbo. And that's the first time I've ever heard of comic book limbo. And you see all these characters you haven't seen in forever, and he just ends up in the real world where he talks to Grant Morrison, and then he kills Grant Morrison, and then Grant's like, "No, you dummy! I just wrote that here so you could see how futile everything you do is."
They either have just come out with or are about to come out with one of those nice $60 compendiums that are huge
Ooh.
for that.
You
So
need to you need to get one for the shop, and you guys listening need to buy it because it's genuinely awesome.
yeah, I'll pick one up if maybe I'm hallucinating that, but I'm pretty sure that's
Yeah,
coming out. So okay, my last book is Wolverine #5 by Saladin Ahmed and Martin Kokolo. It's really fucking good. Really, really, really fucking good. Um, this gold adamantium is just like calling out to Logan's adamantium, but Logan can't do anything about it because it doesn't involve him. It involves the metal
hmm
on his skeleton. So I think that's really interesting. And then, you know, it shows Deathstrike, Cyber, and Constrictor, whatever his name is on the
hmm
cover. They're in it too. And stuff with Wendigo as well. It's just I don't want to say any more about it. It's definitely if Snot Girl's not pick of the week, it's this one. I can't wait for you to read it, Casey. You're gonna love it. So yeah, I'll give it a 9.5 since that's what I gave Snot Girl.
Nice, man. I'm excited for it. Saladin Ahmed's just killing it.
Yeah,
I saw on Twitter
extremely
where
good
someone
writer.
said someone was like, "Oh, his Daredevil's the worst book of 2024." I'm like, boy, do we
What?
disagree?
I would love to hear what that person's favorite book of 2024
Right.
is.
All right, man. What are you
Um,
excited for though?
Challengers and New Gods for sure.
Yeah.
Those are the easy one and two. And then probably Nightwing.
Right on, man. I forgot to pull up the email, so I'm gonna doing that right now. So there we go. I'll say the Green Lantern Fractured Spectrum one shot, G.I. Joe, and let's go with The Moon is Following Us. That's been really good. All right, man.
I can tell you what the best-selling book of the week will be.
Ooh, what's that?
It's going to be Ultimate Wolverine #1,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
I figured it was gonna be an ultimate book. All right, so I was just thinking about this the other day. Why don't you give me four creators who really just fell off? Like, you used to be like, man, I'm always gonna read this guy's stuff, and then somewhere along the line, they got really fucking shitty.
Sure. So I already came up with four, and these aren't necessarily four that you asked for ones that I read and fell off. These are just kind of in general. But
Yeah. Well, you've read all of them, so I see your
yeah,
list,
that's
so
true. The first one's Rob Liefeld. I don't think anybody can argue that there was a time where he was like a celebrity, like an absolute
hmm
rock star for a comic book creator, and now he's not. He
Yeah.
definitely still has his fan base, but I mean, I think the term fell off definitely applies.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? It's like I'm gonna say this. It wasn't that good of a series, but the book that he had done, New 52, the Hawk and Dove, some of his best art. Like, cause he was taking his time, and then whenever JT Kroll got kicked off, and then he started doing that, and he started doing Deathstroke, it's just like, oh, it's tanked.
And Grifter.
It's yeah, it was like, oh, this is all gone in the toilet. Okay.
Yep. He went from drawing one book to writing and drawing three.
Yeah.
Um, Another one is Dan Slott. Really, really liked his Spider-Man. And you know, he was writing Spider-Man. He wrote Superior Spider-Man. Then he did Silver Surfer, and then he just kind of fell off and then came back a little bit of Fantastic Four. Then he fell, and then he did like a little Iron Man run, and then he fell, and now he's back to like doing Doc Ock stuff and
Yeah.
whatever.
Spider Boy stuff.
Yeah, Spider-Boy. So, um, gonna go with Jeff Johns.
Hmm.
Casey had me read his Flash, his well, you didn't necessarily have me read his Hawkman and JSA, but I did read that stuff, which is all from about the same time period as his Flash. And it's some of the best stuff out there for DC. But then, he hit that point where he didn't have an editor anymore, and all of his work just tanked, in my opinion. And now he's writing books like Doomsday Clock and JSA, where it takes him 2+ years to put out 12 issues, and I think that constitutes falling off.
Hmm.
And then finally, we've got Jeff Loeb. I think Jeff Loeb is on the ups right now, so he's climbing back on after he fell off. But he did all that work with Tim Sale, right? But there was a time period where you were
Hmm.
reading a lot of stuff that I wasn't of his, and you hated it. You hated it so much. And then he just wasn't writing anything for the longest time. But then he's come back, with his DC stuff, and it's been pretty good, and we're enjoying it. So hopefully that continues on the up because obviously we're rooting for people,
Yeah.
right? Where we don't want them to fall off, but
Hmm.
I still think that counts.
Yep. So Jeff Johns is on my list too because like his Flash was super good. He kind of starting to lose me with Green Lantern because it was like the Sinister Corps War was awesome, but then when he started adding in like all of the other colors and shit, I'm like, this is just getting silly. And then then he did like the fucking Blackest Night and Brightest Day and all that nonsense, and then that's about when he lost me. But then I remember reading some of his New 52 stuff too. And I'm like, this is just not good.
Hmm.
And making the question into just being a guy with no face that can't even talk, and then Phantom Stranger was I think Judas and all that stupid crap. So yeah, it was just dumb. Tamaki is another one. I read her She-Hulk and I was like, I'm gonna read everything this lady puts out. This is so good. And then I read more stuff that she put out. I'm like, what the hell happened?
Well, it started
And
with
then
Detective, right? And then it went to Crush.
was it? I think Crush and Lobo might have been before Detective
No,
because I was like,
maybe.
I think I still had hope for her with Detective because I think Crush was like the dad, and then I'm like, well, this might be better because it's an established more of a more established character in Batman, the Bat family, and then it's like, oh no, this is still not good, and then this is a Tana book, and it's like you just don't even try to make these characters like anything. And then um Chris Burnham. So like when I when you were getting into comics and then when I was into comics, I've always been in comics my whole life, but like I was heavily because we had driver's license and we could go to the comic book shop and get comics. We were both big into Grant because they were big at the time and they had Chris Burnham drawn for him and it's like so like his art on the Batman Robin was so good. It was awesome. And then there's like pictures and shit of his X-Men run, which is some of the roughest stuff you've seen.
Yep.
So that
Very
one,
rough.
yeah, he's got to be there. And I'm trying to think of another one that you didn't. I mean, because Dan Slott was gonna be probably my fourth because his start of the his Spider-Man was awesome, and then it really lost me. It really did. Like around Superior Spider-Man time, like that shit just went too long. So I'll just say that.
Okay. I mean that there's a reason that we both thought of these people, right?
Yeah. Which he's got such like his Superior Spider-Man though is beloved by a lot of people, which I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah. I don't know. For a while I was like, once I'm done being angry that this is so different, I'll go back and read it, but I doubt that I ever will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's pretty much the episode, man.
Yeah, man. Uh
What should the
let us
people let
know.
us know?
Yeah, let us know down below some of the creators you think fell off. Do you think we're right with them? Or are you going like hard on the Rob Liefeld, being like, yeah, Rob Liefeld's awesome. You guys don't know what you're talking about. Um, that one book, the book where it's like kind of religious seeming for some reason, but not really, that he had that, maybe three people bought, is my favorite book. I was all three people, so put some respect on his name. My feet
Well,
look exactly like the way he draws them, so, I think it's amazing.
friend and listener of the show, Dan, is a fan. We've had a talk about this relatively recently, where he like bought a print from him at a con and really enjoyed talking to
Yeah.
him, which is
I
great. It's nothing about him as a person.
yeah, no, I bet you he's a hoot to talk to at a con. I
Yeah,
wouldn't want to wait in line because I'm not a big enough fan because and his lines are insane, but he seems, perfectly great to talk to at cons, but yeah, his art just doesn't do it for me.
yeah.
Which is crazy because like I love the stupid 90s shit, but even that I'm like, no, thank you.
All right, guys. Well, we hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week with another one, and we'd love to stay in chat, but Casey has to carry me all the way up to Mountain Doom, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.
I may not be able to take your load, Miss Frodo, but I can't hold it. Bye, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Two Worlds Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at Two Worlds Pod, on Twitter at two_worlds_PC, and on Facebook at facebook.com/Two Worlds Podcast. You can email us with any questions or comments at twoworldspodcast@gmail.com, and if you would, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Two Worlds Podcast on YouTube.